on a bright Saturday afternoon in Dallas, Texas. The grand ballroom of the prestigious Sterling Manor buzzed with excitement. Business leaders, politicians, and celebrities had gathered for the engagement celebration of Ethan Whitmore, the 32-year-old son of billionaire real estate tycoon Richard Whitmore. Richard had spent decades building one of America's largest property empires, and he expected nothing less than perfection from his family. The only problem in his eyes was Ethan's fiancée, Ava Brooks, a 29-year-old elementary school teacher, came from what everyone believed was a poor family. She lived in a modest neighborhood, drove an old sedan, and never wore expensive jewelry or designer clothes. Richard couldn't understand why his son had chosen her instead of someone from another wealthy family. As guests mingled beneath crystal chandeliers, Richard quietly pulled Ethan aside. "There's still time to reconsider," he whispered. "I'm marrying Ava," Ethan replied firmly. Richard sighed. "You deserve someone from our world." Unknown to everyone in the room, Ava had never cared about wealth. Her father had taught her that character mattered more than money. As the ceremony preparations continued, guests began whispering, "Has anyone even met her father? I heard he couldn't afford the trip. Maybe he doesn't own a suit." Richard smirked, believing the rumors. When the master of ceremonies announced it was time for the bride's family to arrive, every eye turned toward the ballroom entrance. A simple black SUV quietly stopped outside. An older man stepped out. He appeared to be in his early 60s, wearing a clean but modest navy suit, without expensive watches or jewelry. His calm smile reflected years of quiet confidence. Richard barely glanced at him. "So that's her father," he muttered. "He certainly doesn't look impressive." The man warmly hugged Ava. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart." Before anyone could say another word, dozens of luxury vehicles suddenly entered the hotel driveway. Professional security officers stepped out first. Then several executives rushed toward the older man. One after another, they respectfully greeted him. "Good afternoon, Mr. Brooks." The ballroom became silent. Richard slowly turned toward the entrance, confusion spreading across his face. He had no idea the quiet man standing before him was one of the most respected business leaders in America. The ballroom fell completely silent as the hotel manager hurried toward Ava's father. "Welcome, Mr. Brooks," he said respectfully. "Everything has been prepared exactly as requested." Richard frowned. What is going on? One of the arriving executives looked surprised. "You don't recognize him?" Richard shook his head. The executive smiled. "This is Daniel Brooks, founder and chairman of Brooks Hospitality Group." Gasps echoed across the ballroom. "He owns luxury hotels, resorts, and commercial properties across the United States." Richard's face turned pale. For years, he had admired Brooks Hospitality's business success without ever meeting its famously private founder. Daniel had intentionally lived a quiet life, avoiding interviews and public attention, so his daughter could grow up without the pressures of wealth. Daniel shook Richard's hand politely. "I've heard wonderful things about your son." Richard struggled to answer. I didn't realize." Daniel smiled kindly. "That's because I never wanted Ava judged by my success." He looked proudly at his daughter. "I wanted people to know her heart." Before they knew my name, the room remained silent. Every guest remembered the whispers made only minutes earlier. Richard lowered his head. "I owe both of you an apology." Daniel nodded graciously. "The greatest wealth isn't measured by bank accounts. It's measured by the values we pass on to our children." Ethan smiled at Ava. "That's exactly why I fell in love with her." The guests applauded. The ceremony continued, not as a celebration of two wealthy families, but as the union of two people whose love had survived pride, assumptions, and social status. Later that evening, Richard quietly approached Ava. "I judged you without knowing you." Ava smiled warmly then. "Today was a good day for both of us." Outside, photographers waited for pictures of the billionaires. Instead, the most memorable image captured that evening was far simpler: two fathers shaking hands. Not because of wealth, but because both finally understood that true character can never be measured by appearances.